Playing one game of Super League was a dream come true for me, so to play as many as I have now, and the universe working in mad ways to bring me to Salford to achieve my best performances, I feel like it's kind of written in the stars a little bit. I never knew anything other than rugby league, and when they asked me what I wanted to do when I grew up, it was be a rugby league player. I didn't know you had to be any good at it. I just thought you could just choose to be one. So when anyone asked me about plan A's and plan B's, it was just purely playing for Salford Red Devils. That's all I ever wanted to do.
Oh, we're writing. Where do you want me to start from? I think he was about 18 months old, and he had we bought him a rugby ball, Salford rugby ball, a small one. And we knew then the way he was with the ball, the way he connected with the ball, and the way he just loved rugby. Obviously his dad played rugby for a team over in Little Hulton, badly, but he always followed his dad around with the rugby.
Obviously the first memories you see is obviously the willows and seeing the pitch and how it smelt, and also walking into the shed as it was, also with my dad, and seeing obviously the rest of the family in there was obviously the highlight of my week, I think.
He asked his dad, can you go and play rugby? Well, at the time I think he was 3 and he couldn't start. I think it was West Orton Lions when he was 4 years old. So in between that gap, we just took him on the field in all types of weather, rain, snow, cold. You think about, oh God, it was horrendous.
It was funny, I used to go into school and when I'd sort of write obviously your weekends highlights in your book of what you did at the weekend, it was always the same. We always went to the Salford game and I went to the pub with my dad after it. I remember they actually said about, did you do anything different in your childhood other than go and watch Salford?
He always said one day, I'm going to play for Salford, and we said, yeah, carry on the way you're going and you will.
I just used to love being able to reenact my Salford hero, so whatever I used to see Steve Blakely do or Gavin Clinch do, I used to try and copy in my game, and trying to wear the same squad numbers as them guys, which was always the big thing for me. I always wanted the same number as them, and having their names on the back of my shirt and stuff. They're the memories I have, is just being a loyal fan.
His bedroom was just kitted out in Salford. He had posters of every player on his wall. Every time I went into his bedroom, I could see Steve Blakely looking at me. He'd say, morning, Steve.
It's weird, like I still feel like I have that obsession now, and I do like the fandom. I do watch Rugby League as a fan. And
there was another one as well who left, and he played for Huddersfield. Can't remember his name. But I remember him writing a letter to him because he didn't want to leave. He didn't want to leave the club.
It was Luke Robinson. Yeah, obviously the club got relegated. It was funny because when I moved to Huddersfield, obviously Luke Robinson was one of my assistants. I remember giving a letter to his girlfriend in the shed at the time, because obviously there was heavy rumours that he was leaving the club. So when I was telling him at Huddersfield, he was laughing his head off.
It was always rugby. I want to be a rugby player. I want to be a rugby player, and for Salford.
Well, he's been on a journey, that's for sure. So as a rugby player now, he's a product of his effort, resilience, determination, and character.
And before you know it, you're in an academy and then you're in a first team. So I'll be honest, I never really had a realisation, and probably suffered with a lot of imposter syndrome up until quite recently. I reckon only the last 2 years playing for Salford have I really realised or believed I was a Super League player.
Young kid, willing to learn, fast and patient, because I knew he wasn't ready to be exposed for 80 minutes rugby week in, week out, and he knew he wasn't as well.
I wasn't ready. I think at the time I was hoping I was ready, but looking back now I was nowhere near ready. I doubted myself a lot. Didn't know whether I'd ever be a Super League player.
If he's on the subs bench with his hood up and watching that game and learning all the time, he was studying. When he sat on the bench, he's studying. But then, you know, he'd soon light up a game, and he came on and he'd be the super sub, and a lot of pressure then to pick him from the start. But it was important that we looked after him.
When he was flying high, I would say that was at Lee. That was one of his... Ryan's got two hearts. He's got a beating, booming heart for Salford, and he's got a dormant heart for Lee. The lows, I would say, watching your child like switch off when he played in Toronto.
Ultimately, I was the first day back into training after Brian McDermott took over, and the day before I was on holiday, and the director rang me and said, just so you know, you're too good of a player to be on the bench, so we want to make sure you're happy here, and you should be playing Super League, so we want to get you to a Super League club. And I didn't really understand why they was ringing me saying that, because we was in Championship. So if I was good enough for Super League, why would I not be good enough for a Championship team? So I never really understood that. And I just said I was happy where I was, and I'm happy to play for Toronto because I was wanted to be part of the project, what got me into Super League. That's what I really wanted. And then one of the first meetings I had with Brian McDermott, he just said I wasn't going to play for him. No matter what I did, I was never going to play for him. I was sixth choice, half back behind a couple of loose forwards. So never spoke again after that. Every week I had to go to a meeting about going to a different club. I had to go and train on my own in Rochdale. So all the boys went to Canada. I weren't allowed to go. They had to keep me at home. Sometimes Toronto would train in the day, and when they got back home, I had to train at night. I got sent over for a promotion to Canada when the boys came back, only to be told when I got there there was no promotion there. So just an absolute whirlwind of emotions.
We saw Ryan deteriorate. We saw him become less functional, probably distanced from his family. I remember flying over once with the family and with his baby girl and his girlfriend, who is now his wife. We might as well not have been there.
I remember just going home and just trying to sleep, and every time I got home and just slept, I always felt that the next day would come quicker, so then it'd be over quicker. And that's how my mind works. I just thought if the more I slept, the more it would take me to the next day, which would make the situation be over quickly.
He was not eating properly, he was deflated, he was probably going down the spiral of depression.
I think when it hits the point when you see your mum crying with what's happening to you, I think that's when you've got to realise the game's a lot more important than just a game of rugby league. It affects family.
For someone to knock that light out of your child is devastating.
That I'm still standing here and as a Super League player is the real success, and probably when I look back on, probably the most proudest. I think, of course, I want to win a trophy, and I think winning for Salford would be unbelievable. But I think there's some things bigger than trophies in this sport and industry, and to withstand and to still be a human being rather than a rugby player is again probably something what my mum and dad probably didn't expect.
Salford brought him back. Salford brought him back to the player that he's always been, under a great coach. He's been under Rolls twice. Rolls acts like his second father.
I don't like to think I'm old enough to be his dad, even though I am, but my sons look at him like a big brother. So when I say my sons and they had their names with the shirts on, they'd have, they'd have Kez on the back, his nickname, not Brierley.
We'd looked at him for a couple of years before he came, to be fair, and wanted to bring him in a couple of years earlier than we actually got to him. And as soon as Rolls was involved, that escalated. Obviously they have a very long-standing relationship, so that escalated a fair bit. I mean, he actually went public, didn't he, probably about 12, 18 months before he actually came here, saying that he'd play for nothing for this club. So I wanted to test him on that. He doesn't, but But yeah, but he desperately, he made it really clear that he wanted to come here and play for the club.
It was obviously on our eye line anyway, because I think Marwan Kukash was looking to bring him in before that, so knew all about him. And I'd sort of like kept in contact with him over the years. And then when Paul said we should go for him, 100%, we went and met him, and we captured the Prince of Salford signature.
It kind of happened really quickly, and he said I didn't really feel like though it was Salford at the time. It was just staying in Super League, and then when things started to click and fall into place about who I was actually signing for and the people who it meant, what it would have meant most to, it was certainly emotional, and just seeing the actual contract come through and realising it was real. And when Ian Blease sent me the contract over, it was pretty of a surreal moment, and I actually surprised my dad with it. A few years back in Toronto, I think it's well documented, we didn't get paid on time a lot, and we didn't get paid at all at some point. So a lot of the time, my dad lent me a lot of money. What my dad did for me at that point was pretty special. And I remember having a tax bill, what he had to pay for as well, which was an astronomical figure. Can't even believe how he managed to get it sorted for me. I shouldn't have probably played this trick on him, but I explained to him that I had another tax bill from Canada that I couldn't afford to pay, and he had to come and see it. And because I can't pay it, I can't afford it, and I was on my like final warning, and it was like I'd kept it from him for a little bit. So he's going mad at me on the phone. He said, "Right, I'm coming round your house now." So obviously I'm laughing because I knew what I was going to do. So he's come round. He said, "Right, show it me now." So he's come barging in the house. I said, "Come and show it me." So then I've given him my Salford contract, and obviously he's reading it away. And obviously when he realises what it is, that was a good moment, and I think that was probably one of my most special moments in my career.
His dad just absolutely went berserk, and then next thing our phones would beep, 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 beep. All the hard work Ryan has put in through his career, and from being 18 months old to become a rugby player for his own team and his family team, it's the lottery really, isn't it?
That the people in this stadium are my people. I feel like I'm representing them, and having sat with them and stood with them for so many years, I know what it means to them to view and what a Salford player looks like, and hopefully I'm giving them a small taste of that, and I get a lot of messages saying they're living their lives through me. And
it's really important that Salford's represented properly. As a kid, I was a fullback. I always wanted to play fullback for Salford. I just wasn't good enough, unfortunately. So now I live my life vicariously through Ryan Brierley.
When Ryan came available, obviously knowing his background, knowing from my personal experience what it means to play for the club, I knew he'd be a good signature. But then again, there was question marks about his ability. But boy, has he really shown I can play.
He's an easy player to coach because he believes in what I believe in. He knows how I want it to look, and he's my salesman. So it's important that I've recruited him everywhere I've been because I know he's my salesman. So to get people who believe in a certain product, if you like, and then sell it for you, a guy who's well respected amongst the group selling it and believing in it, then it makes the whole culture better.
Don't stop talking. Comes in the office, steals my sandwiches. Never stops talking. He's an absolute rugby league geek. He's just a good guy. He's a good guy to have around the place. He's quite funny. Cut all this out. He doesn't need to know this because I slag him off not fit to burn. But he is. He's a good kid.
Just recently doing a little promotion at the Traff Centre and seeing kids with my name on the back of their shirt. It'll never get old for me. It'll never get boring. I don't really understand it. As a young kid who would have Blakely or Robinson clinch on his back, to see Brierley on the back of someone is just bizarre. I've seen it at other clubs and it kind of, I get it, whereas a Salford fan wearing my name on the back of their shirt, I don't get it. Really weird, but one thing that I'll never ever forget. And no matter what now, my dream was to play for Salford, and no matter what happens on and off the field, no one can take that away from me. I did it. I think I've got a picture back at home, you'd have seen it, but just a message to my dad saying, "Dad, I did it," and that was playing for Salford. It was nothing else. It wasn't about being a professional rugby league player. It was about playing for Salford. Whether your dream was to be a professional footballer or be a singer, be a movie star, or play for Salford Red Devils. My dream was to play for Salford, and that dream came true.